Domenico from the Room podcast with a very special guest today. I have on Kaleb Lionheart Harris, coming off a second round TKO at last Saturday's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships 9 in Biloxi, Mississippi. Kaleb's going to talk all about that performance and what's next for him in this huge growing promotion in 2000. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. As y'all can tell, I don't even look like I got into a fight last weekend. I'm just enjoying it. Today's my last day of work for the week, and I get to go help coach some of my teammates / students that I help coach at Primal Martial Arts tomorrow in a Ju-Jitsu tournament. So just looking forward to that.
Excellent. From bare knuckle boxing to jiu-jitsu. I mean, you do it all. I mean,
do it all.
So before we get into, this most recent fight and your 3 fights in bare knuckle, you're a past MMA fighter. I mean, you're still an MMA fighter, but that was your whole starting career is MMA, correct?
That's right. I've been doing MMA for the last 8 years between amateur and pro. Just this year started bare knuckle boxing. So
yeah, I do believe your last fight for MMA was the end of 2018. You were on a tear, I think. From your pro debut, 3-fight winning streak. You lost your last MMA fight, and is that when you said, "Hey, bare knuckle boxing's around"? It was in Mississippi, your home state. Did you say, "Hey, I'm gonna give this a shot and let my hands fly"?
No, actually, I've watched bare knuckle boxing since it started coming to Mississippi. Last year? I actually went to the first 2 shows that they had in Mississippi before then. My last MMA fight was against Jesse James Wallace, who it was at the early part of this year. It was in April, and he was number 1 guy in the state. I was number 8. We went in, and of course I lost by choke. Jesse's a super cool guy, though. But no, I had been after this bare knuckle thing. So, a lot of people know now because of the commentary, but I was never in a street fight. I've never been hit bare fist before my first bare knuckle fight, where I got paid $2,000 and to fight Harris Stevenson. So I was like, who, with all respect to the badge, is a cop. So I thought it was funny, and he did too, that I'm getting paid to go punch a cop. And of course it went to split decision. The second I stepped out of the ring, I was like, I want to do this again. And I told my coach. My mom and my dad hated it. They did not want me doing this. They were doing everything they could in the nicest way to talk me out of it. But my coach went back and watched it, said, "Kaleb, I really think you can make it big in this sport." He's like, "It's young, it's growing. You could be on the front lines of watching this sport grow." That's all I needed to hear. We started back training. We started working a lot different head movements and stuff like that. And then y'all saw the proof in the pudding.
Yeah. Went
out my 20th fight and got a knockout, heard around the world. And now I'm on my second technical knockout win. So it's been a fun sport. Everybody keeps asking, am I done with MMA? Am I just a bare knuckle? I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm a fighter. I'm gonna fight however I can. Right now, bare knuckle boxing has got my name out there. It's got me recognition, and it's the path that I'm walking. If my path crosses back into MMA, I'm not scared to go back. But right now on local shows, nobody, just business-wise, nobody is paying what bare knuckle is. So,
and the stock is on.
And I've somewhat made a name for myself in bare knuckle on the up and coming. So everybody's looking at me. So why would I want to walk away from that when I can keep building that up and ended up fighting guys that are, former UFC fighters and big names in bare knuckle?
Exactly. And you talk about, they are a young organization. You're a young fighter. They are looking for a family. They are looking for faces to carry that, carry this new organization and compete with the big guys, which they are starting to do. It's blowing up all around the world. I mean, people are tuning in to see what's going on. I mean, just Saturday night's fight, I think there was 9 fights. Out of 9 of those fights, 8 of them were finishes, TKOs, knockouts, corner stoppages, because it's a, I don't want to say a brutal sport, but it's real. what is the difference in there between, going in there with bare knuckle and fighting MMA? I mean, I know obviously there's kicks, the Ju-Jitsu, but as far as the stand-up game, what is different in there as far as, the bare knuckle and how you gotta, carry yourself in there?
So, one of the biggest differences is for pros, the rounds are only 2 minutes long. So from the moment they say knuckle up, you've got to be foot to the floor on the gas pedal. Like, you can't bounce around and play with your opponent and feel him out for a minute, because at that point you're losing the round. So that's one thing. Aggression is a real big thing, and that's what the crowd likes. That's why there's a lot of finishes. The more technical style fighters do tend to have a better chance. So guys that, like, I Ju-Jitsu, I love rowing, I love grappling, but I was raised off by a kickboxer. That was my first head instructor. He was a professional kickboxer, so I love to strike. And so, like, it just came more natural to me for me to be willing to get in there and fight. And so along with that, I actually noticed in this fight, he actually hits me with a jab, and for a brief second in my mind, I was like, that didn't hurt nearly as bad as the last time or the time before. So I think it's just over time your body starts to adjust to it. But like in MMA, you don't have to worry so much about where you hit. In bare knuckle, you've got to be accurate. Like, I mean, and my last fight this past weekend was not the greatest. I mean, the dude had a weird stance. He kind of made me have to come in and dogfight with him. I was still technical, but I had to kind of get a little wild at times. But you can't go swinging at the top of the head. You can't go swinging at the side of the head a whole lot, because if you do, you end up with broke hands or busted knuckles. You have to be more accurate about where you throw to the body and where you throw on the head, because if not, you can end up hurting yourself along the way.
Exactly. And, you fought, all this year, I think 3 fights in there. I mean, you want to stay active. And in the beginning of this, as the promotion was just starting, as you say, you've got to get used to it in there. There's a lot of MMA fighters, a lot of, boxers, a lot of people crossing over, going in to get that work. And they don't understand that, just like you said, it's technical in there to not get these injuries so you can prolong your career. So it's starting to happen. You're seeing these fights not only becoming like bigger knockouts because you're learning them sweet spots where to hit, but it's actually the fighters are staying healthy because they're starting to learn, pick and choose their shots. But also, like you said, it's aggressive. I mean, but there's both sides. I mean, you're aggressive and then you're technical. It's a beautiful thing to watch in there. You know what I mean? It's just progressing and progressing. How do you feel about the future with them? I mean, you say you'll jump into MMA again, but it seems like you're fighting every 3 months. Every time they're in Mississippi, you're there to fight for them.
Right now that's all they want to put me in.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best right now to get on the Florida card in February. I mean, look at me, man. I mean, I'm not pretty to look at, but I mean, I'm healthy. Like, I'm healthy. I told him, I called him 3 days after the fight. I said, look, I'm healthy. I'm uninjured. I heard there was a Florida card. Put me in, man. I want to travel. Like, I want to go around the world. I want to travel to different states. I've only been to a handful of states outside of Mississippi. So, send me to Florida, send me to Kansas, send me to New Mexico. Let me go fight in somebody else's backyard. I promise you the results are going to be the same. I mean, I want to fight, and I want to fight big names. So, I just want to keep stepping up the ladder until they finally have no choice but to say, all right, Kaleb Harris is fighting for the 165 belt.
Excellent, my man. Well, you're training. Are you still training MMA too, just to stay ready in case,
Yes.
Something comes in there? Now, how do you... Go ahead.
I've got teammates that still fight MMA as well. And so, actually, every one of my bare-knuckle fights, my first 4 weeks out of the 8-week camp, 4 or 5 weeks, I'm still doing ground and clinch work, like for cardio. We have Ju-Jitsu drills where we've got bodies on top of us all the time. We've got clinch work. We've got wrestling shots. I'm still running every bit of this with my teammates that have got fights, and I'm doing 5-minute rounds. I'm doing 4 5-minute rounds And it's only until about the last 3 weeks when I switch over to doing 8 2-minute rounds. Now in bare knuckle, the rounds are only 5 rounds, but the way I look at it, I'm not going to sit out the 2-minute, the last like 5 minutes that my teammates are having to run. I'm going to keep working. So while they're doing their rounds at 5 minutes, I'm doing 8 2-minute rounds, and I'm usually on my minute break over here bouncing or doing footwork or something. Just but yeah, we always laugh and make jokes about it because like Saturday mornings is gi Ju-Jitsu, and the Saturday before my fight, they're like, "Well, what'd you do to get ready for your bare knuckle fight?" I was like, "I did arm bars and kimuras in the gi." You know,
just in case the guy tries to do a double leg on me in there.
Well, I mean, there's been video.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't remember which bare knuckle it was. Somebody kind of got rocked and like went back to MMA mindset and shot for a double leg.
Yeah.
So.
It makes good video. So,
yeah, man.
you know, before I let you know, give you a thank-outs and all that other stuff, you talked about you want to stay active with bare knuckle, and they're a tight family. I mean, they're going to be coming looking for you. I mean, your fight before this one, like you said, you had that knockout that went around the world. It's still traveling around. I mean, because you just came off a win Saturday. So now everyone's checking you even more, on Instagram, on Tapology, everywhere. And they're finding out, dude, this guy's just, he didn't come from a boxing background. This dude's, an MMA fighter too. So you're going to pick up fans from both sides and also crossover fans that are into MMA and jumping into this bare knuckle boxing, thing going on, this craze. Dude, as far as fighting in Mississippi, your home state, how is that, man? You said in the post-fight interview, you want to put your flag in there and make it yours. What does that feel like to impress your home crowd like that?
Man, it was crazy. So, like, I come from a small town, man. Like, and when I say small, I mean like Lake Mississippi is a square mile. That's about it. And our county, Scott County, man, it's just a bunch of little towns. And like when I got ready to do my first all of my bare knuckles and several of my MMA fights, I've had people come out of the woodworks that I went to school with 8, 9 years ago, and they came and bought tickets. I actually have one guy who is a contractor for the military now and is back over in Afghanistan, but his last day at home he was going to come watch me fight, and something happened in his personal, but he wasn't able to make it, so he still paid for the ticket, and then also bought the pay-per-view at home and sent me a message afterward and said, "My little girl got to watch you fight." And to see her face light up and know that this guy was from Lake Mississippi and made it big, made my night. And that touched my heart. Getting messages like that, man, is what it really means to me. Like, I want to be a champion, but most importantly, I want to leave a legacy behind that impresses somebody to be a better person. Like, that's what I truly want. And like getting to be on this stage and show people that has really become like something that just is close to my heart. I can look out of the ring, and I can see people that have drove 3.5, 4 hours to come see me fight, and people that I went to high school with and haven't talked to in years, and they still come out and support me. And like I said in the interview, Biloxi is my home away from home now. I mean, anybody that walks into Biloxi is walking into my turf, and they're going to get put down.
Excellent, my man. Well, you're doing it. You're putting them down, man, in style, in highlight reel style, man. Last thing, my friend, shout outs who you want to thank, and make that last call for that, that big fight you want, in February.
I just want to thank all my sponsors. Beavers Unlimited is one of them. Lyle's Machinery, Wilkerson's Flooring. All the gyms that I train with, Black Sails MMA, Primal Martial Arts Academy, one of my former gyms that I used to train with, but decided they wanted to support me, Namido Jiu-Jitsu. I also want to thank Cypress Bayou Embroidery for hooking me up with all my fight shirts. And I'm sure there's Shelly's Electric. And then also I do want to fight in Florida. So David Feldman, Nate Shook, Bare Knuckle FC, if y'all see this, no, I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to go, and I'll fight anybody. Y'all already know that. And just lastly, I'm a big advocate for suicide awareness. So if anybody's watching this that may be dealing with depression or anxiety, I fight that every day. I fight anxiety issues a lot. This sport has been an outlet for me, not just with the fighting, but just with the training and the family that I've built with it. So I just want to let anybody out there that's maybe walking through that tunnel right now, keep walking. There is light at the end, and I promise you that once you make it, it'll be worth it.
Excellent, my man. You are an ambassador for the sport. I mean, a growing sport. You're young. You're doing it in there, man. Last thing, social media, because people want to see all the stuff you're talking about, and they want to see your training camp and what you're doing leading up to 2020, brother. So let it go.
My Instagram and Twitter tag is at Lionheart2193, and you can find me on Facebook at Kaleb Harris, or Kaleb Lionheart Harris is my athlete page. And I'm still used to not having it. 2 new sponsors that just signed me after this last fight was Rev Gear and MMA Uncensored. So yeah, a big shout out to them. They'll be posting a lot of my stuff here in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be sharing with the gear and stuff I'm training with. And just hit me up on social media, and if you just want to send a message, I'm always open. If I don't get back to you right away, I promise to get back to you.
Excellent, my man. Well, it's working for you, man. You know, MMA Uncensored, I steal their stuff all the time off Instagram, all their stuff. I mean, they got great. I mean, things are going for you, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know you're, at lunch break at work. People don't know. They think you're making a huge living doing this fighting stuff, but you actually have to put in 40. You got to put a 40 to 80-hour work week in. People don't know that, but we appreciate everything, brother, and we'll be watching you in 2020. So thanks so much for your time, bro.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.